Hey, ladies.
Hey.
Hi. Hello. Hello. Oh, I guess depending on where you are, it's a beautiful morning. I think we're
Mm-hmm.
on the morning, and the sun is out. It's cool right now, so I think this is like end of August ish. Woo! Kids are at school. All kinds of things going on. So yeah, it's good to see you, ladies.
Good to see you too.
Yes,
We
it's
still
nice
have
to be
that
back.
glow from our retreats.
We do.
We
Retreats.
do, we do for sure.
Woo! Was
I'm
that
ready to go back.
fire?
Y'all ready to go back?
Yes, we are ready. Yes, I'm ready to go back. I
Me
think it's
too.
already on the calendar.
Oh
Yay.
yeah, you already know.
Yes, 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 yes. So
We
this is
don't play with
episode.
our planners, do we?
We don't. And I know we covered that in a few episodes. But I tell you, today we're going to talk about this is episode 47, by the way. Our heartbeats, wonderful, wonderful heartbeats. Checking on your strong friends. Ooh, this is a topic that actually started in text, right, ladies? We were texting back and forth on a couple
Mm-hmm.
were going on, and you know how
Yeah.
hits you and you're like, you try to be this rock or this force, and sometimes you just, you got to speak out. And to Shauna's point before we started recording, the vulnerability piece, being
Yes.
vulnerable, being okay with it, something I personally struggle with, and I think all of us do in some form or fashion. So yeah,
Yeah.
how do we do that? And are we considered the strong friends? I think this is a conversation I've had in a couple different circles. So just wanted to touch on that today. And
Yeah.
yeah, our heartbeats, we're looking for you to chime in here as well, whether you're watching this video or you're listening to us on the many platforms that we're on. We appreciate you so, so much. So drop a comment, leave a heart. Let us know you're connected to us on this topic.
Yes, I'm
Yes.
excited about this, and I like when we are just being ourselves and having conversations in text, and then it is like we need to share this, which is
Mhm.
just what is the word, Lynda? Quintessential to how we became, like how we got started, but basically like how we became the Heart of Chat and how we moved from our just personal conversations to like, dang, I know somebody else needs to hear this, or somebody else is
Mhm.
going through these things. So I know the one thing that we talked about is just that we all have life happening to us at the same time. It's just, there's good things, there's good days, there's bad days, there's, amazing days like this morning when we got to see our pictures for the first time
Yes.
from our
Yes.
photo
Our
shoot.
very first photo shoot
Yes,
Yes.
that's the Heart of
together.
Chat.
Yes.
But at the same time, we all are dealing with different things, right? So right before we went to Greensboro, I had a car, my husband had a car accident with the kids, and there's all the things dealing with insurance and making sure they're okay, and still running a household and being down a car. It was just a lot. But at the same time, like just, knowing that that's what's going on, but then there's nothing you can do about it at this point, but continuing to move forward. And then just the assumptions that people think that we always are happy and have it together, you know.
Yeah.
Y'all, I know we all have those moments and have people in our life that just think, oh, she's just always happy.
Hmm. Yeah, it's been said to me many, many times from a personal standpoint. And typically I am most of the time. And sometimes people are used to, they don't do this as much anymore. I think I changed the way I move a little bit. Like, you're always happy. Why is that? And that, it's coming from a not a nice place. So I just, it kind of bounces off me and I just keep it moving. Doesn't mean I don't have the bad days or the days where I'm just like, oh, I do see, and I have noticed that just in the past, not so much recently, because I think I've changed the way I show up too. And
Mm-hmm.
too many people come at me with the negative stuff like, oh, you're so happy, you're this, you're that. And it could be something that they're dealing with. So I used to take it like really personal, but
Yeah.
I'm like, I gotta be myself. If it's not for you, it's not, it's not for you. But at the same time, I do have my struggles too. And
Yeah.
think that, yeah, Jeanette, I remember when you told us about the car accident and all the things that you have to deal with in terms of insurance and family structures and trying to get to your job and trying to get your clients. I mean, just the whole nine. I mean, people automatically think that just things as they look at you from the outside and think it just runs smooth because
Oh yeah.
that's me. I am a naturally happy person. Like that's just who I am. And
Mm-hmm.
vibe with it. Some people don't, but I've learned to accept that And when I do have bad days, maybe I might do a little bit of keeping it to myself. That's why I love Shauna's point earlier about being vulnerable. Maybe I need to show that side of myself too. So this episode, I think, us.
Yeah.
Shauna, what are your thoughts on that? Because could you expand on that a little bit about the vulnerability piece?
No, we can't hear you. I
I
mean,
hear you, Shauna.
she don't want to be vulnerable. She like, nah, I'm just gonna talk on mute.
Yeah, Shauna.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
You're good now. You're good. Now we're tracking.
You hear
All
me?
right. All right. Can you hear me now? I love it. Vulnerability. So yes. So sometimes I can be so caught up in my own feelings and within myself that I pride myself in being able to be compassionate and put myself in other people's shoes. But when it comes to this topic, I get a bit irritated because I've been the strong one since I was a child, family, friend, acquaintance. That's the way I'm viewed because of the way I move. And my first mindset is positivity. So I'm a very positive person. So no matter what happens in life, I'm not saying it won't get me down. I'm not saying I don't experience anger, sadness. I experience all the emotions that a typical human would experience. The difference for me is I try not to live there, and I look at the brighter side of the situation. And it helps me get out and be able to be creative enough to problem solve, because that's all we're doing in life is just solving challenges that comes our way. And some of us do it a little bit better, not better. I don't want to say better. Some of us are able to meet those challenges maybe a bit sooner, and some of us may need to process a little bit longer to meet those challenges. That's the way I want to say that. That's how I feel. And sometimes I can do one or the other. Sometimes I have to take my time and sometimes I don't. No matter what, I held a very high part of my life I believe in discretion. And I believe that everything doesn't have to be out here in the public about what I'm doing or what I'm going through. And this is before social media. This is Shauna Hibbets. This is the way I was since I was a child, since I was a teen. My whole life, I've always held a part of my life in a state of discretion. And reason being is because when you do experience some challenges and maybe you made a mistake and you made the wrong choice and you had to live with that choice, sometimes I learned early on that dragging a bunch of people with me during the process is not healthy for me, because it comes with a lot of criticism and it comes with a lot of judgment. And what I discovered was that hurt me more than the actual challenge that I had to meet.
Yeah.
And may have taken me down a rabbit hole and distracted me. So as a young person, I learned what to share, what not to share. But the downside to that is it appears that you have everything together, that you know how to meet these challenges and that you don't suffer from pain or anxiety. Or I'm OCD. A lot of people don't know that about me. Like, I like to have things certain ways, organized, or I become anxious. I'm like, the couch is crooked. I need to straighten it out. This is in a sink. What's happening here? But so I think for me, it's like, I think that the perception comes off as if you have everything together, when in reality, we need as much love and care, and we need we need others just like others need us.
Yeah.
So allowing that vulnerability and being open to letting them come into, because sometimes I got it, I can do it, I don't need any help, I've done this before, and sometimes it's just like, why don't you just let somebody help you? And then maybe that shows that you're vulnerable, and that also shows, it makes them feel good that they're able to help you even though they know you got it.
Because I don't want to be vulnerable. I don't want people's help. Let me tell you. Asking for help is like one of the hardest things in life.
It is. I know it for me. I know that I think it just on the heels of, you know, Jeanette sharing kind of the car thing that you were going through. I mean, I think I recently shared with you ladies that I just paid off my van.
Yeah.
Loan is paid off.
Congratulations.
Yes,
So I just paid off. It was, you know, it was a
congratulations.
struggle. And I think I just recently shared the story with my mother. My mother had no idea. So my previous car, and I had an issue with it. And I guess the dealer was trying to find the issue. It was just cutting off 4 times over a 6-month period. Long story short, ended up being a lemon. And I had to get a settlement for the car. But you know, when you buy a car, you drive it off the second you drive it off the lot,
Used.
it depreciates. And this car depreciated like heck. Okay. It was nuts.
Wow.
I was underwater, totally upside down by $13,000.
Wow.
And I didn't get anywhere near that for the settlement. So I was like, what am I going to do? I got to have a car. You know, at the time, you know, this was 6 years ago. The kids were much younger, getting around to school and their practices and all the things. And I had to get to work, you know. So it was insane. So I went, you know, I was like, all right, the car dealer's like, well, we can, you know, do this for you. But you're going to be your car is $13,000 underwater. And they had to roll all the negative equity in to this new car that I got in 2015. And they were like, oh, you have to get gap insurance. You have to do this. You have to do that. And it was hard, but my payment was high. I had to do it because I was like, I got to get out of this car. So that was the struggles. I didn't share that with anybody. I think I may have told one person, just maybe because it came up in conversation, but I was sharing it with my mother about a month or so ago, and she had no idea. But that sort of keeping it all together, and it just kind of all came out when Jeanette shared her story. And if she hadn't shared, maybe I may or may not have shared that, but it just came to fruition because I'm like, oh, I'm making the last payment on this car. I was like, oh my gosh, this is nuts. What I went through, something that significant, you know, being that much in the hole and then having to roll all that money in. It was a real struggle. So.
Lynda, when you shared that with us, I was so happy. Like last year, I think it was the tail end of last year, not last year, excuse me, 2019 or the top of 2020. I remember you having sort of like a countdown to paying off your vehicle. And I thought that was really cool because you stuck in there, you held in there, you know, you didn't all things are not supposed to be shared with everybody, right? But when you had this countdown, I felt like you turned that whole situation upside down. Like you was like, I'm going to handle this challenge, I'm going to meet this challenge, I'm going to figure out a way. And then you came down to a point where I feel like the countdown was like a win for you. Like every month was a win for you, and now we're here.
Right. It was 18 months exactly ago, right before the pandemic hit. I was like, oh man, I got 18 months left to pay on this car because it was really that significant. And just going through that process and having to, you know, I had to go through the lemon law process. If any of our listeners have been through that, it's a very tough process. And, you know, I could have gone outside and hired an outside attorney, but I couldn't afford it. One, right? I didn't have the money to do it. And then it was like, was it really worth it? Or should I or would I've been tied up in court for years because, or a class action suit, you know, it takes months, sometimes years for that. And I was like, okay, let me just take what I have and try to do what I can. And a lot of prayer, a lot. It's amazing how I kept like almost all of that to myself because I was always looked at, as you mentioned, Shauna, earlier, as that strong person. Couldn't share that. I didn't want to take all these people with me and then it ended up being another disaster at the end of the lane. So when Jeanette opened up, I just felt like that was sort of a pathway for me to have that release. And I don't have that often. I gotta say, that person, I am that strong friend that keeps everybody upbeat. And one of our recent IG posts, I mean, I think we posted like, oh, you know, Lynda's the upbeat one, but when it's time to get the work done, that's me. But sometimes we got to check on each other, y'all. I mean, we just do. I mean, we all have our challenges. So
I feel like that's why the Heart of Chat is so fluid with each other, because we all three of us share that characteristic. and we understand how to support one another and be vulnerable with one another, because we know that we could be vulnerable with one another without the criticism, without the judgment, and without all of the extras, right?
Yeah.
So that part too is, what type of tribe do you have around you as a strong friend to be able, that understands you, your weaknesses and your strengths, and they're there for you when you're going through emotionally.
Yeah, but I think that's what makes our friendship so special is, and what grew it so fast was our ability to be vulnerable with each other. And we all have other friend groups that we're really close to that we, but I don't know, it was just something special about this friendship. And then you ladies, it just made it easy to be vulnerable with each other. And then Lynda, I was thinking about you, like, with sharing that, because sometimes like keeping it to yourself is good sometimes, right? Because you need that time to process it and to figure, and it's not always the right time to share it. So like some people, some people are oversharers, and I'm not saying that their story and the things that are happening in their life isn't important, and that as somebody doesn't need to hear their story, but you just have to know when to do it, right? There's a time, it's got something in you is going to tell you that this is the time to share this, because someone needs to hear this now, and because it might be easier for you to talk about it, right? There's things that we go through in life where it's not the time to talk about it because it's still raw. Like, a lot of the stuff I'm dealing with this car, let me tell you, I was ready to fight some people. I was not my best self on the phone with a couple of customer service people. I'm gonna be honest, and my husband was just like, I'm gonna need you not to get this upset about this. You just need to calm down. And I'm like, I know what I need to do, but just but it is your story, right? And so you shouldn't feel pressure or rush to share it, and it should always be like a natural thing, like when it's time and when you're ready to share it. Like people who know us or might know things about us might be, oh, that is just amazing, it's inspirational, you need to tell somebody, and like, okay, but I'm not ready to do that just yet.
Right. Yeah, and that's a great point.
And please don't tell my story. Let me tell my story.
Right, and that's
tell my story.
Yeah, it's a great point about the friendship groups. You have some amazing, friends, like you said. Maybe it's not the right time, and I tend to be that person that will step aside and say, okay, you need me, I'm here for you. Maybe it's like you said, just wasn't the right time.
Exactly.
Right to share, but it's like I'm okay in that role, but I also know that I need stuff too. And I mean, I have other friend groups, we share stuff and things, and I always felt bad about sharing, especially this story. I felt bad about sharing because I know like some of my other friends are going through stuff. I'm not going to share this because I know they're going through, but I knew that daggone car payment was high as I don't know what, but I was like, dang, thing is high. That $13,000 hit different when it comes.
Right.
Yes. And they had to split it across, all these payments. And I'm just like,
on top of another car payment.
And plus gap insurance. Okay.
Yeah.
I had to get that because if something happened to that car, like the car I'm driving now, while all this was going on, it would have been, I probably would have got nothing. You
did the right things.
And so it was crazy, but I just didn't feel at the time, that I could share that because I had other friends that were going through stuff that I felt that I was needed more. But then in thinking about it, this countdown was, like you said, Shauna, that was an awesome observation. I think it was like a personal thing for me. So I shared it last year. I'm like, okay, it's a countdown, but it was all this residual stuff. It was the why that I had to share that, and why I had that countdown, and why it was so meaningful at the time.
Yeah.
I think it's good to have different tribes of friends. I used to not believe in that. I used to believe in like whoever's your like original tribe, that's who you stick with for the rest of your life. And yes, they are part of your life, but because we evolve and we change, that's how I thought, y'all. Evolve and change. We get to find what fits for us during the time or different seasons of our lives through our growth. And I was just listening to what you were saying, Lynda, when you said you were afraid to say something because someone else was going through. That happens to me a lot, especially now, like since the most traumatic thing that ever happened to me was losing my husband 2.5 years ago. And so when someone's loses their spouse now, it's hard for me, like, so like I give my condolences and things like that, and unless they ask further questions, I don't give anything else past that. Because it's a very hard space, and I don't want anyone to feel like I'm they have this thing called outgrief, trying to outgrief someone.
Oh,
I don't know if you've ever heard that term before.
You talked about that. Yes.
Can't hear you, Jeanette.
Let me tell you, this is what happens when you're recording a podcast with a house full of kids. You put yourself on mute randomly. That's all right, Shauna. I was trying to, give space for you for being on mute earlier. Like, see, now we both did it. Now we're equal. But no, I was saying, I haven't heard of outgrief before, but I do use a term called toppers. There are people that, like, if you have something good, then they have to top it with something. Oh, and well, this has happened to me. And then, but I have seen it happen in the way that you said before, like, well, that happened to you. Oh, well, let me tell you what happened to me. Like, this is just, I've had it worse than you did. Like, really?
Yes.
Man,
not okay. I think, Lynda, what you did was the right thing. I know, if you because you have other outlets, you have people that you could share that with, and you were being considerate with certain friends that were going through, and I'm pretty sure that if it ever came out, they would appreciate that, or they might say, you could have shared that with me, because things happened to me in my life where like right after my husband passed, when other deaths were occurring, people were very slow to tell me who was passing or who was sick, because they were being considerate of my feelings and my grief at the time. But I had to let them know, I had to verbalize to them, I'm in an okay space enough to know who's sick in the family or who's going, you can tell me, it's okay. I had to tell them, but I didn't get upset because I knew they were being considerate of my feelings.
So how do you ask people, is it okay to share certain things with them if you know that they're going through different, a difficult time, and you're going through something yourself? Like, how do you test the water with your friends or people around you to make sure that it's okay?
That's a great question.
For me,
Jeanette.
Knowing their personalities and maybe past examples that we've been through in life helps me understand if I can do that or not.
So do you come right out, but should you come right out and just ask them, like, hey, is it okay if I share something with you? Or, I don't want it to be, I have some news, but I want it to be triggering. Is it okay? Like, because I think that comes up a lot. And like, so like in Lynda's point, like, I would never want my friend to think that they couldn't share something with me because I'm going through something, right? I want them to know that I always will make space for them. So I don't know, I guess just letting each other know how to, approach a conversation when they're going through something as well.
Yeah, I think that's an awesome point. Yeah, it's so interesting this came up. I wrote down Therapy for Black Girls post about this recently on their Instagram, and they said the same exact thing Shauna said. It's, you ask, do you have time for this? Okay, so that's one. The flip side of it is the person will call or text or message you, whatever, or maybe show up in person, and they just immediately start before you can even say anything or do anything or say, yes, I'm ready to receive this. But yeah, I think that's an excellent point about, hey, there are ways maybe to let the friend or the person know that you can tell me. Because a similar thing happened to me, Shauna, what you were saying, like I had a friend who lost a relative, but they didn't tell me because my stepmom, Julie, had just passed away. And I was like, oh no, feel free, you can tell me, it's okay. But for me, she said she kind of kept it hidden because of that. And I was like, no, please, I'm sorry to hear about, what happened, even though I was going through with Julie, but I was, once we talked it out, I think that's where we stand at this point now. So I'm going to tag that post to the show notes, because that was an excellent point from Therapy for Black Girls. Same exact thing. It was the check on your strong friends kind of post, and it had the same scenario.
Nice. And I also think that communication, for sure. So I'm the type of person, there's no surprise that I am in the heart of chat, because I'm the type of person that likes to have chats from the heart since I was young. Like, I'm that candid friend. I'm the one that would say, hey, we could just have a pajama night, and I just come up with some crazy combo that this didn't happen, but if this ever happened, I want you to know how I feel about this, or how do you feel if something like this were to happen? So having casual conversations about hard topics at the time that
Yeah.
doesn't happen is also a good way to build strong relationships and to know how a person would feel if a scenario came even remotely close to that. Of course, it's not predicting the future, but there's so many different conversations that could be had prior to it actually happening.
Right. Yep. Very true. Very true. Yeah. So showing up. I mean, I think Jeanette touched on it earlier. So how can you support people? I mean, because they're nonverbal cues as well. So they're not there. Maybe somebody, it may not be, maybe they're just tired, right? Maybe somebody's quieter one day, maybe they're under the covers another day, and then maybe just ask, like, but how can you signal that support? Like, is it, I don't know, is it a certain color? Is it you raise your hand? I don't know. I like color. I'm visual. So I'm like, oh, is it a color? I don't know. I'm just kind of like throwing stuff out there. But how do you signal that you are that person, that support? I always look for like
For Lynda, for the strong friend, or the strong
Yeah.
friend giving off the vulnerability to another friend?
I think both. I think both.
So when you're the strong person,
Mhm.
how can a friend of yours know? See,
Yeah.
that it's hard because there's especially if you're not willing to be vulnerable and honest.
You got to work on that.
Honest that you really need help. Oh no, I'm good. I got it.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, okay.
So how would you tell me to do that? Like, let's role play. Yeah.
Oh.
Hey, yeah.
Yeah. So how would you tell me to do? So we'll tackle that scenario first. Like, how would you tell me to do? Okay, you're that strong. I'm always saying, oh no, I got it. I'm okay. Because that is really hard. I'm gonna tell y'all. Now, if you dangle some chocolate in front of me, maybe I'll do it. But there's got to be a way that, okay. Ooh.
So
You've done it before, Jeanette.
The way I do it for Lynda is just knowing. So I know Lynda is never going to tell us that she needs something. So the only way I can help, because I don't know exactly what she needs, is to just send her things that I know she really loves that will brighten her day. So even if I don't know what she's going through, I seen this tea subscription and I sent it to Lynda because I know she loves tea. And so I bought a tea box for her to have that she could get because I knew she loved it. Like, because like it's one of those things, like when you assume someone has everything that they need, what do you get them, or how do you show them support?
Yes.
And I know that also how Lynda shows love is that she is a great gift giver. She's very thoughtful and intentional. So to be able to do that for her in return and, surprise her and be thoughtful and intentional about a gift, I know that she appreciates that versus then just dropping like money in her, in her hand or in her pocket, or even doing something for Maddie, right? Like, Shauna might send Maddie, the best was Shauna sent Lynda a cash app to get Maddie for her pet fund towards her
pet fund.
Oh my God.
Right.
Yes.
But no, I just think it's just knowing your friend, and even if they're not going to tell you exactly what they need, just knowing what brings them joy and what lights them up is a way to show them support and just give them that little reminder that someone is actually thinking about them.
That's a good nugget.
And you know what I like about that, Jeanette, is everybody in the world is going through stuff.
Oh yeah.
There's no one exempt from challenges. That's just a human life, right?
Yep.
And you don't need to know exactly what a person's going through, but because you made that small gesture, it took her a moment to pause away from regular life, and like you said, you sparked that joy in her, and now every time she drinks the tea, or she's always going to think of you. It went so much further than anything, than you knowing specifically what challenges she was dealing with that day.
I love that.
Definitely.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, that's something I wrote down, like, and then for the strong person or a strong friend in the circle, whatever it is, that we also have to work on ourselves too. That continues. So maybe that will allow us to continue to work on ourselves. Like, y'all know I like Chipotle. I love Starbucks. So it's like, I can't tell you how many like Starbucks and Chipotle gift cards I've gotten from you ladies. So it's like, so that is gonna open me up to be more vulnerable, to share, to feel comfortable in certain
because you
scenarios
feel seen, right? It's just
Yeah.
being felt like someone sees you, and that you don't always have to be the one thinking about somebody else. Like I've had that question before, and this is a vulnerable moment, I guess. So like what's your biggest fear? And for me, is to be forgotten. And so that for me, outside of dogs, but to me, and I can't never be, so whenever things get serious, I crack a joke, FYI, if y'all didn't know. But yeah, funny. For me, it's to be forgotten. So like growing up, and I love my mom, my parents, it just is what it is. And Shauna and Lynda can relate to having birthdays around holidays. My birthday got forgot a lot. Okay, maybe it seems like a lot because my mom says I over exaggerate. My birthday got forgotten a few times because we used to travel for Thanksgiving from Philly to Virginia to see my grandparents and all of our family. And so sometimes my birthday would fall like on Thanksgiving, the day after. And so in that rigmarole of holiday spirit, it's like, oh shoot, her birthday was yesterday. Like, and then and I have a couple cousins whose birthday, I have one cousin, her sister's birthday is December 23rd and her birthday is December 25th. Like, I just like Devon's birthday is on the day before Valentine's Day. And so for her, like, it's really important for people to recognize her birthday. Like, don't try to lump, especially like if when she's dating someone, like, don't try to lump her birthday and Valentine's together.
Right.
Like, nope. I need them to be separate. But I like that. But yeah, people just don't want to be forgotten. They want to know that someone sees them, that they remember them, that they're thinking about them. And I don't care if people say they don't, they do. The hardest, angriest old man appreciates, some little kid coming up to them and saying something to them. Like, you know what I mean? So
yeah, very
being
true.
Seen. I like that.
Excellent point. Being seen. Wow. Because we said, and I remember when you shared that with us, Jeanette, for the first time about just being forgotten. It's so ironic how all three of our birthdays around holidays.
I never thought about that until you just said that.
No, my birthday's January 2nd, so it's like, what did I do?
You did that whole Christmas, New Year's,
the whole Christmas, New Year's, lumping it together, all those kinds of things. And what did I do for? So I think most of our listeners probably know I'm turning 50 in January 2022.
Yeah.
So I'm the first thing I defaulted to was I don't want to put anybody out, and I'm planning this kind of something really small. Hopefully Corona and her sisters will stay gone, but and it's something. But the first thing I put out there was like, I don't want to inconvenience anybody because it is right after the holidays, but I'm still going to treat myself to something nice. But my first go-to was, I don't want to inconvenience anybody. But yet it's still my 50th birthday and I want to celebrate. So I've been super, thoughtful about this planning. But then again, it's like, should I put this out there because I want to think about people's pockets? We've got kids going back to school. This is the first year in 2 years, school supplies. I mean, just all the things I've been seeing and hearing about, and people do big things for the holidays. So I'm like, the last thing I'll be thinking about is me, so is it a form of feeling like I would be forgotten? Yes, in a sense, but I still want to celebrate as well. So I think that's a key point. I wanted to share that before I forgot, and I wrote it down. But it's like, wow, all three of our birthdays around the holidays, and we just have to continue to do things that continue to inspire us and make us happy too. And maybe it'll continue to inspire others.
I feel like the biggest thing out of this topic today was just this ending part right here, Jeanette, is no matter if you can meet challenges and the perception is that you're strong and you can handle that or not, everyone wants to be seen and everyone wants to be regarded as human.
Yeah.
and you go
Yeah.
through stuff, and just because you don't advertise it doesn't mean that you're not going through anything.
Mhm.
And I had to learn the hard way of vulnerability. I was not that vulnerable person. It had to take me to lose my husband and to not be able to walk for a
Mm.
year, to be vulnerable and to
Yeah.
allow people to help me. And I remember meditating and praying so hard and asking God and the universe, please help me be okay with accepting help when I get better. I don't want to get to a resilient space and then I would go back to my old ways of I got this. I got all of this. I don't
Yeah.
need help. Da 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 da. So I feel like I've been doing so good in that department. In the last 2.5 years, I cried the most I've ever cried in my entire life. And it felt good. I never understood that when people would say, "Oh, a good cry, just cry it out." I'm like, "What? Why?" You know? And
Yeah.
and my late husband would be like, "Do you ever cry?" You know, and he never saw me cry,
Wow.
you know, and I would go to homegoings and I would just go to the bathroom or dismiss myself if I felt like I was going to get too emotional or teary-eyed.
Mm.
Yeah.
But I'm no longer that girl. Like I'm watching movies and I'm crying at the drop of a hat now. And I'm just really connected emotionally. And my biggest thing is I don't have a problem with asking for help right now. My thing is where I get it from. Because I want help from somebody that's going to shoot it to me straight from the heart without any conditions. If there's going to be any strings attached to it, then I don't want it.
Yeah. So,
agreed.
and it goes both ways, right? Like allowing, like when it comes to allowing people to help you, not feeling need that you always have to pay it back. Because I get into that habit a lot of like, oh God, they did all this for me. So then I have to go do all this extra stuff to try to, you know, pay it back and be like, oh, see, I'm good. I made this comment to so let me tell you, I was like, I'm not gonna be able to go on this trip with the girls. Like, I'm gonna let them know. I was like, I'm gonna figure something out. And I was watching when we were away, we were watching rewatching some of our favorite episodes of help me,
Insecure.
Lynda. Insecure.
Insecure.
Shauna. Thank you, Shauna.
Insecure.
Shauna beat Lynda.
Yes.
Points for Shauna. We were watching some of our favorite
My
episodes.
mom's proud of me. I said a TV show before Lynda.
I know, my God. All right, we're totally tagging her in this.
Yeah. Nancy. Hi, Nancy.
Yes.
And it was like earlier seasons of Issa's character where her friends was just like, she just don't never have it together. They always have to like pay her way. They got to do stuff for her. And I just was like, that is my fear. I don't ever want to be the friend in the group that just, you know, always needs help or always is going through something. And like, and you probably aren't going through something all the time, but in your mind, when you're going through that thing, it just seems like I'm the person that's always either crying or I'm always going through something. I always got some traumatic thing happening in my life. It's like, I don't want to be her. I do not want to be Issa before the block party. Like,
one of my favorite
have my stuff
episodes.
together. But then it's funny because you would look at Tiffany's character, right? Tiffany, Amanda Seales' character, Tiffany, and think, oh, she always had it together. And then when she had the baby,
yes,
and then she was going through postpartum, and the truth of like, oh, just always having to put on that appearance that I have it together, and then you know you break down when you know and things go wrong. So it's just finding that balance between
Right. That's what happens when you go too far off into the strong world and zero vulnerability. That's what happens, you know, and it will crack and you will cave in because no one can, you can't walk around carrying all of that.
It catches up to you. Hit the wall at some point, you know, and then it's that part about sharing. Okay, I hit the wall, now what? I don't want to share that either.
Yeah.
Right.
And that was that whole season of, you know, everybody needs season in this world. I'm not talking about insecure, but where it was like, oh, I'm just everything was positive. Like, I'm not going to be protecting my energy. I'm this, I'm that. And then a lot of people shut off their ability to be sad because they were like, no, I can't be sad or I can't be angry because I have to be positive all the time. This is what everyone is spreading in the world. And it's like, yes, be positive and be optimistic, but also still allowing yourself moments to feel your feelings. And then, but at the end of the day, like we talked about, using your resources and dipping into your tool bag to find your way back to your happy place. But yeah, I think a lot of people went to that extreme of I can't ever be negative because the world says everyone has to be positive and happy now.
Right, Jeanette, as positive as I am and the most vulnerable that I have been to date with personal brand. And for one thing, the Heart of Chat, the birth of the Heart of Chat allowed me to be me. And every other parts of my brand work and even my entrepreneur stuff in person, self-employed work, it was always about the work that spoke more for who I was and my reputation and things of that nature. I was overjoyed when the Heart of Chat came about, and all I kept saying to myself was, Jeanette and Lynda, they want me. They want me to be a part of this. And I'm grieving. I'm going through. I'm this, I'm that. And I'm thinking I'm like this broken bird, right? With a broken wing.
And me and Lynda,
why would they want me?
Totally different, right, Lynda?
Right, exactly.
Yeah, I'm like, why would they want me? You know? And the Heart of Chat allowed me to be me, for people to really get to understand who Shauna Hibbis is without, all of the other work that I have done beforehand, and just really get to know who I am and to be able to express my feelings in a way that I wasn't able to express them on my other platforms. And then when the COVID season came in hard and heavy, and I did a lot of journaling around that, and then I came up with the reflection series that I do. The reflection series that I do on social media is the most vulnerable I have ever been on my platform, where I'm literally answering the question that I'm asking my audience in, basically real time within that week, and sharing it from my heart. And you ladies know that I do these videos very close to when I post them, because I'm constantly meditating on them all week long on what's my answer, what do I say, how do I present this, and it's the most vulnerable that I have been. And I really think, I know that the Heart of Chat helped me leverage to that space to feel comfortable enough to be vulnerable enough to share my innermost thoughts to my audience.
Yeah, I'm getting there, and I feel like I am the most true to who I really am is who I am on this podcast. And and this is why I struggle so much with posting on social media, because and people who follow me on my personal social media, they know, because every now and then I'll do a post and it's like a long post and it's like really thoughtful and it's like vulnerable. And I get the most engagement on those. And that's who I really want to be all the time. But I'm so used to being either super businessy and corporate, or on the other hand, being the one that's cracking a joke to lighten the mood, right? Because oh, it's getting kind of heavy, let me lighten the mood. So like being, I don't use the word deep, but like more spiritual and more vulnerable and things like that, I struggle with, because I'm like, are people going to believe that that's who I really am? Because that's not what I show all the time. But that's really who I am. And so just trying to, I would love to be more of that,
Yeah.
I love that you captured. Oh, I was going to talk about our reels, Lynda. I love you're such a visual artist to me, Jeanette, and on so many levels, that I love that you're welcome. I love that you're able to capture certain things with Lynda and I, that you feel that we are in our most vulnerable stages, and that it makes you feel so good when you're around it, that you capture it through your visual art to display it to the world. And so we recently did our first reels representing the Heart of Chat, and many people was wondering, where is Jeanette? Where is Jeanette? Well, Jeanette was the technological genius that put it together, that's helped stage it with Lynda, and we came up with this reels that everybody enjoyed. And the entire time I'm flabbergasted as the numbers are going up, and I'm telling Jeanette, this is not real. These people are not watching this. What is this fake numbers? Why is this going up to the thousands? This is ridiculous. We were just being ourselves.
Yeah,
that's all I kept saying. We were just being ourselves. What's so funny about being ourselves? But then Jeanette was like, that's what the people love. They love authenticity. They love realness. They love the rawness of it. And I had to wrap my mind around that.
Yeah, that is crazy.
Lynda, so what, since me and Shauna answered this question, now you have to answer this question, Lynda. What has the Heart of Chat allowed you to do or become?
Oh, I can talk. That part.
Now, so we've seen two extremes of Miss Lynda. Like,
oh Lord.
Yeah.
Where's my camera button?
Nope. Yes,
I think it's being more of myself. I mean, I am myself most of the time, right? But kind of to Jeanette's point, what you were saying about the very corporate, very business, everybody knows I've been in corporate over 30 years, kind of walking this path. But I feel like over the last few years, that creativity piece is like really the focus. And people don't really see me in that space. So I feel like I really want to show that, because is that part of being vulnerable? Yes, I think I see them intertwined, being vulnerable to show my creativity, show my silly side, as like in the Reels video. That's me, right? I love that video. Had so much fun. I'll say the Heart of Chat, what it's done for me is just allowing me the space to be able to express myself in a way that I had in the past, because I'm kind of the one that will step aside, let everybody else express. I'll let everybody else talk. I'm okay with that's where I live. It's so funny because my son, Miles, is the same way. Maddie, she's like 10 times me. She's like the other side. There's the other side of me. Yeah, okay, so that's her. But for me, it's just I've always been that person that allows space for everybody else. But I feel like I have space here, and I have space, to be myself. And I feel like over the last year that I've been able to express my creativity, whether it be in person, like we've been in person a few times, whether it be on social media. I would have never done the stuff I'm doing now on social media.
You're rocking it out too.
Putting that out there. And I want to learn more about social media. That was never me. I'm like, I ain't posted nothing. I was here and comment on y'all posts and all of that. So I think it's allowing me to come into a space where I didn't think I fit, like speaking, for example. Been asked to speak at several events. I'm also doing diversity and inclusion kind of things, which allows you to hit all your skill sets. Skill sets are you pulling from many different places. Yeah, I mean, and just being around other people and attracting that inclusivity, which is something big for me. So that's what it's allowed me to do. A year ago, I wasn't trying to be on nobody's platform speaking about this stuff. And especially in them being a lead speaker, I'm like, no, I'll set up. I'll be behind the scenes. I'll take notes or I'll write something. But being sort of in this forefront space, I'm like a background girl. I'm a background singer. I'm good. This is where I live. Like the movie Hitch, when he was trying to teach Kevin James, he's like, "This is where you live,
right? This is where you live,
right here.
Said,
don't go doing that."
He said, "This is where you live." And Will
Stay
Smith, shout out to you. I'm tagging you in that movie, Will. I know you listening, but
we love you, Will.
Yes. And I pre-ordered your book. Anyway, so this is where I used to live, right here. But now it's like I feel like I can do this,
Yes. You was definitely doing it in that reel, let me tell you.
So that is what this beautiful, not only friendship and mastermind, but this beautiful collaboration, what this has done for me.
Sisterhood is just off the charts.
And that's what I want to tell the listeners, is just that, don't just say that you're good being in the background because it's lets you be less vulnerable, or because it's just comfortable for
Safe.
you, because it's safe
Yeah.
for you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, yes, there are people who are great in the background, but there is also a need for you to shine as well, and for other people to see you and hear what you have to say, because I'm sure you have valuable things to say. And I'm talking to some people that I know specifically that are probably listening, that we all know that, you know, are just like, oh, no, I just want to be in the background. Like, you are, you
You're
know what I'm
needed.
saying? You're needed.
Yes,
You're amazing.
needed.
Yes.
And my advice would be to find something that allows you to be more of yourself. And so even if you have to do that quietly, where everybody doesn't know yet, and then, but it's, you know, till you get comfortable, and then maybe you show it to a few people, and then you show it to a few more people. But find something. It doesn't have to be
Coming
a
into your own.
podcast. Yeah, it doesn't have to be a
Yeah.
podcast.
Coming
It
into
can
your
be anything that just allows you to be more of yourself. This pandemic has allowed me to be more of myself. Like, filling my house with plants. Like, I'm sitting from here and I can see like all my plants, and just looking over and glancing at them, like, they bring me joy. Shauna got a chance to come and see my jungle in person.
Yes.
Awesome.
Beautiful.
But I love it. Like, you know, I thought that I wanted this minimalist house, and it could still be minimal in certain ways, but
It's beautiful. Your home is beautiful. It's the energy that the house gives. So it's beautiful in there. I didn't want to leave.
That's beautiful. Yeah. Wow.
Welcome.
But yeah, you're talking to me in some of that. What you said, Jeanette. Seriously. Yeah, you're talking to me there, because I'm like, yeah, I'm okay, you know, being here in the background. But then there are something. I think I ran something by you ladies recently, something that I wanted to look into, you know, being a mentee in an aspect where I'm usually a mentor to others, whether in corporate, whether in personal, but I want to be a mentee in a certain space where I want to absorb and learn. So I wrote mini mission statement for me to be this mentee. And I used to myself, something I would have never done before. I don't even email myself nothing. Nah, I got it. But no, I'm being a mentee. That's what, so it's like, all right, that's a vulnerable space and place for me to be. So it's work in progress. Maybe check in with me, y'all, in like 6 months, see where I'm at, or 3 months, whatever. But it's just, I think this was an amazing episode, you know, checking on your strong friends, your strong sisters.
Strong sisters, be okay with being vulnerable, and leverage your vulnerability with each other.
Exactly.
Like we're doing.
And I challenge y'all, like, if you do something on your social media, or you post something where you are just being more of yourself, tag us in it, share it with us in the comments, so that we can support you and show you love as well. And let us, you know, so we can let you know that we see you, because we, you know, we appreciate you listening to us, but we really just want to support y'all, right? And our whole tour theme and everything that's coming up around living the life you desire.
Yes. Let's go over those tour dates.
Yes. Living the life you desire is not about quitting your 9 to 5. It's not about starting a business. It's not about, you know, it's whatever you want it to be, right? If you wanted to start a garden just because that's what you want to do, you want to get up every morning and go sit out in the middle of your garden like baby boy's mama with her glass of wine or coffee, and sit in the middle of your tomatoes and just, you know, live your best life. Like, whatever it is that your heart's desire, we want to help you get there, because that's what we're doing every day.
Yeah.
When does this episode air? This is going to be before the first tour, correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay, so we should probably put
Lynda.
Yes, this is correct. Yes.
So Lynda, do you want to talk about the first tour?
Oh, sure. So our first tour is coming up. So our first stop is Cleveland, Ohio, on Saturday, October 23rd. We'd love for you to join us at the Cleveland Urban Winery, and they'll be tagged in the show notes here and in our posts. We're so excited. We love our heartbeats, and thank you to all those who have already purchased your tickets for not only the show but also t-shirts and the after party. So the after some party. Exciting things to our heartbeats from us, and we love you guys. So thank you so much for checking us out and liking our posts, and also looking at our Eventbrite for the first stop in our 3-city tour.
Yes.
Excellent.
Yes,
Thank you,
yes,
Linda.
yes.
Share
Sure,
this with
sure.
a friend, share it with a friend, share it with a friend,
Buy a
because
couple
I know
tickets,
we
come
all
with the group.
know. Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
We all
Yes,
know we know people that need to hear this message. So yeah. Share it with a
yes,
friend, come out with a friend, all the things.
yes, yes, yes. Yeah, we really appreciate everyone. Awesome, awesome. Anything else we want to share, ladies, on this topic? This was an amazing
No, it was great.
conversation. I think, wow, this is super. So we've got a lot of good nuggets here that we share with our heartbeats.
Sure.
And yeah, this is awesome. Well, in addition to the tour, Shauna, did you want to tell our heartbeats and everyone else, our listeners, where they can find us and they can watch us?
Yes, yes. You can find us on IG, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Don't forget to get on our mailing list at theheartofchat.com. Come back next week and every week, everybody, because it's going to be fuego,
Fuego, baby.
baby. Come
Yes.
back. All right,
Right.
Jeanette, my
All right,
girl.
Jeanette, I see you.
I just felt the need to, do
Yes.
one time.
Yes, Jeanette. Go.
Go, Jeanette. All
See,
right.
trying to
Well,
make
thank
your
you,
day.
ladies. Thank you so much. See y'all.
Bye,
Bye.
ladies.
Bye.
All right.